You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now we thought, as the year is coming to an end, a man who has been an integral part of making this show very entertaining and giving a cross-section of opinion and a star broadcaster throughout the country, the nation. You're
talking about Mick?
I'm not talking about Mick. I'm talking about someone that you two have befriended and have driven him mad, and you know all his kids, and you're sending him Christmas presents and birthday presents. But we're going to ring him. It's Dr. Ben Fordham, MD. Used to be managing Don, but I think that's a project that has completely bitten the dust. So we're calling him Lord Fordham. So we're going to give him a ring now, and we've got the technician OAM Stanley, and we're just...
Hello.
Here he is, he's on the line. No, Doc, we've given you a fantastic build-up. We've said you're an integral part of what's made this show great. Now, just let me tell you who's in attendance here. We've got MichaelChristianMenswear.com, who has sailed very close to the wind. We've tried to stop all the blue material, but it's a work in progress. We've got Ivan, who's back from the Middle East. We've got Richard Wollstonecroft, who's sitting here from Muff, Melbourne Underground Film Festival. Over in the corner, we had a couple of guests, Peter Wright, world-class squash champion, and we have a visitor from Georgia, Jennifer from Georgia.
Wow.
And we've got Sue Stanley, OAM. So we are just a captive audience, Doc, and we're so pleased you could speak to us on the final show before the new year.
Well, it's lovely to talk to everyone. You've got a big crowd there. It's like the MCG, and yes, just a few reflections on what you've just told me. It's good to know that Richard's back there, because I told you after his first appearance, I said, he's an interesting bloke, the Muff man. And Michael sailing close to the wind, well, it's like the Sydney to Hobart, isn't it? I mean, it's rough seas and crazy forecasts. You never know what you're going to get with Michael. But look, I'm just on holidays at the moment with the family, and just thought I'd just quickly dial in and say good day and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And
where are you on holidays?
Yeah, I'm on holidays for 5 weeks.
You're not camping up at the
where?
New
Domiciled
South
at
Wales?
home, are you?
That's the life.
No, we're in Sydney at the moment, and then we're about to hit the road tomorrow up the coast. We'll go up the coast to a little place called Avoca on the central coast of New South Wales, and then we'll go down the coast to a place called Vincentia. So we don't stray too far from home, really.
I bet you're not driving an electric vehicle.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not in the electric at the moment.
Get rid of that bullshit, mate. That was just a fancy.
Oh no, I quite like the test drive in the electric vehicle, as I told you. But if you're heading up if you're hitting the open road, you don't really want to be competing with the other EV drivers to find a charger. So,
that's it.
But we're just in that nice phase at the moment where the kids are kind of picking through their Christmas presents and opening up board games and trying to teach each other how to play. And mate, it's a really nice time of the year, mate. I feel blessed.
That's right. We weren't allowed to, in certain sections of the city here, weren't allowed to mention the word Christmas. We had to say, have a merry holidays and happy holidays. We weren't allowed to say Christmas in some suburbs here, but we've pushed back on it, and we're just calling it Christmas.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you what you've got to watch. You've got to go on to Netflix and watch Ricky Gervais's new series.
Oh, yes.
Armageddon. Yeah. It came out on Christmas Day, so it's Ricky live on stage. And if you like this podcast, then chances are you'll love Ricky Gervais live on stage, because, mate, he tears into everything that is woke, and he's just so interesting to watch because he can't be cancelled, right? People tried to cancel him early on. You remember some of those stand-up specials he did, and Netflix deserves a bit of credit because there's another great comedian called Dave Chappelle. And when Dave Chappelle was talking about pronouns and gender and stuff like that, a whole bunch of Netflix employees camped outside the building and said, "We won't go back to work until you sack him and get rid of him off Netflix." The bosses at Netflix stood their ground. Yep. So it means that, we can still say what we want to say and think what we want to think without someone cancelling.
And there's another movie on Netflix, an Obama production, I think, who's part of it. It's called The End of Days or The End of the World or something, and he's Leave the World Behind, and he's saying that basically, I reckon if Trump gets in, there'll be a civil war. I think that's basically what the film's about.
Oh, mate, I've had 3 goes at watching it. It's atrocious. It's so bad. I know a lot of people are reading various things into it, but at the end of the day, it's just a bad movie. And I didn't realise that the Obamas were involved in it until I just read that in the paper yesterday.
But the executive producers, it's about a kind of what's called an EMF attack, which is where the basically the grid goes down. Mobile phones don't work. The hole in the wall that gives you cash doesn't work. The internet doesn't work, and it's been actually game theory is something where they test different military strategies.
Just a matter of interest, are you hearing Richard then?
Yeah, I am. He sounds like he's a little bit off mic, but I can hear him.
I'm not sure why that is, Richard. We're trying to work out why that is.
Can you guys solve a dilemma for me?
Probably not.
Okay, well, I'll ask you. After Christmas, right, you've had the prawns and you've had the maybe some oysters and whatever. When you got all of those prawn shells, right, after Christmas, what do you do with them?
Well, I would throw them in the garbage and make sure I get them out of my my nasal smelling region very quickly. But you're probably going to say you blend them and make soup out of them, are you?
I'd take it.
No, here's the dilemma though, right? Because the garbage man isn't coming by for a while, right? Because you've got a week or so until anyone's back to work and they want to pick up your rubbish. So
freeze them.
I put them in the freezer.
Is that the trick, the freezer?
The freezer. Or take them down to the local Chinese and they'll recycle them for you.
With your cat.
Right. Because my old grandfather, Clem, used to, on the Christmas afternoon, go outside and dig a hole in the backyard and bury them. Oh. And I remember my old man saying, just freeze them. So, Michael, I've copied that little routine. I've been freezing them. But there's a blue one in our local neighbourhood, you see, because someone got all of their old prawn shells and chucked them in a neighbour's bin, right? Mm-hmm. So someone's put up a note wanting to name and shame, wanting to reveal the identity of the person who's dumped the 3-day-old prawn heads in their bin. So
that can get on the nose a bit, doesn't it?
No, it does. It does. What did you do, Sammy? What did you do Christmas Day?
Well, you won't believe this, Doc. I have a small boat and I set out to go down to my folks' place down on the coast at Point Lonsdale. And as I left the river, the Yarra River, we don't have anything like the Sydney Harbour, but it's as good as we get. The weather turned so feral, it was unbelievable. How I got down there on the boat is beyond me, but so I had a horrendous boat trip down there, did Christmas lunch, and then came back on the boat yesterday in worse conditions. So I had 3 meals down and 3 meals up. I had 6 meals in one day.
What about you, Ivan? What'd you get up to, champion?
What'd you get up to, Ivan?
What did I get up to, was it?
Yep, on Christmas.
What'd you get up to for Christmas?
Yeah, no camping up at the border this year, so just nephews and nieces and things like that, just driving us all crazy.
Doc, you've been on fire. I'm just finished. You've been on fire this year. You ran the yes/no vote and tied up the man who's probably going to be swept out of office shortly. He's going in very ordinary fashion, the Prime Minister. You belted the COVID conspiracy. You hit that to leg, and you've been working on that. You've led the narrative on a lot of things, Doc, and you are finished number one this year up there. And I've been asked to Neil Mitchell's final farewell dinner, but I hope when you finish, I don't think there'll be enough people. Won't be a big enough room to come to your when you finish.
Mate, that's very kind of you, Sam. Well, I've loved jumping on the line and having a chat. So what's the dinner for Neil? What's he doing? Is he doing a bit of a farewell?
No, I don't know. It's in January, because he's been very successful. But
Spearmint Rhino, is it? The
yeah, that's right, the Spearmint Rhino.
Well,
yep.
You might remember where it was his interview with Albo this year where Neil started asking about the shorter version or the longer version of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, and then Neil said, what about the longer version? Is there anything in there that concerns you? And Albo said, I don't know, I haven't read it.
That's it.
Why would I?
And it all started from there.
It all began to fall apart.
Yeah, look, it's been one of those years, hasn't it? When you think back to some of the big, probably the biggest stories for me on air this year, certainly The Voice first and foremost, has been a tearaway story of the year. And then you look at what's happened in the Middle East over the last couple of months, and from a court case point of view, probably Brittany Higgins and Bruce Lerham, and that's still going on at the moment, and there's an absolute mess. So you just never know what the new year's going to dish up. But I'm looking forward to it and getting ready.
The only failure you've had, Doc, you've not failed too many times in life, but you've been a monumental failure. I charged you with being a mediator and a mentor to Don Scott. I called you MD, Dr. Ben Fordham, MD, managing Don. You've not greeted the judge in any particular parameter concerning Don, and I'm pretty disappointed in that. You said he was on special projects and he was working on something big, and nothing.
Yeah, it's still an active case at the moment. It's still active. So we're still working away on that. I never give up, Sam. I'm not one of these people who ever gives up. So I just keep chipping away. And I don't know, it may be the summer break that Don needs just to refresh himself and get back into it. So I'm not ruling anything in or ruling anything out. There's a chance that Don may return to the podcast in 2024, if not 2025.
Wow.
Maybe if I withdrew, do you think he could take it over? And as I sit here now looking at all these instruments and panel members and trying to work out what we talk about, from maybe if I withdrew, it'd go to the next level.
No, I don't think so, mate. No. Don's just having a bit of time out. And look, I've got to know you guys. I haven't spoken to him since over the last week or two, but I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to get him to come on for a little special appearance. We got close there, but it just broke down in negotiations between several teams.
A bit like Ukrainian peace talks.
You tried to
that's right.
You tried to set us up with Sue Stanley, OAM, and me pretending we were an item, and Don was going to sneak on and say, "Oh, here you go now, where's Sue?" And you were going to say, "No, you were trying to set us up, Doc."
Yeah, well, I was just trying to achieve my goal of saying I'd get him on. Right? It's whatever it takes to get him on. That's what I was keen to do. And speaking of this alleged romance, is anyone thinking of popping the question on New Year's Eve?
Popping the cork.
I just wish you could just even pop.
Oh, dearie me.
That's good. I like that. That's
too good.
That is sharp. That is sharp.
Too good.
Do you know someone on the what is it called, the social platform? Someone texted. What do? They
just posted on.
Said it infuriated me calling Sue Stanley OAM. Said, could you stop calling her OAM? I thought, would you think you could have something better to criticise someone for than that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the title, if you've been given the honour, and if someone wants to say that in recognition, I think that's entirely appropriate. For example,
Dr. Ben.
when I run into John Howard, I call John Howard PM.
Yep.
Right now, Mr. Howard has not been the Prime Minister for a long, long time, but I did it the first time I ran into him when he was no longer PM, just as an accident. I said, "G'day, PM," and I said, "Actually, you're not PM anymore." I said, "But I'm going to keep calling you PM," and he goes, "You can call me whatever you want." So I still give him the PM, even though he's not the PM. I quite like how they do that in the United States.
Yes, the president. People are president for life, almost.
That's
President Trump,
right.
and for example.
President, you're not a former president. You are
president.
That's correct, Richard Wollstonecroft.
Now, and how's the mate? How's the muff going? The muff's good.
Oh, the muff diving's going very well, mate. We wrapped up our muff, and we've done a call for entries for next year, which is on right now. But we've just been, examining the political situation and looking at all different things. Have you seen this leak that came out of New Zealand? Have you heard much about this? This guy Barry Young, or what his name is, who got arrested for? No. He sort of released some leak on COVID information, and everyone's kind of getting all upset about the leak, but no one wants to examine exactly what's in it, so we can't determine exactly why people are upset. Like the police apparently kicked in his door. It must have been something. It must have been a bit of a Julian Assange situation. But
and speaking of leaks, we're about to get the list, aren't we, of Jeffrey Epstein's, all of the passengers.
Epstein Island is coming.
Yeah, we're about to get the names and details of all of those who are on the Lolita Express going off to Jeffreys Island. So that's going to be interesting when they land.
Expect a series of unexpected suicides, possibly, and strange plane accidents or cars falling off cliffs.
It's interesting that Prince Andrew apparently is horrified at the idea that this list is going to be released, even though everyone already knows that he was one of the...
Well, he's the one everyone knows. In the sense he was set up, you know what I mean? Because I think Epstein, obviously it was kind of a honeypot operation, wasn't it? You know, I mean, he's rumoured to have connections to the Mossad. And, you know, where they would, like, basically get someone along, they would hang out with 20-year-olds, and then they would say, come to the island, and they'd slip the 16-year-old in there or the 15-year-old.
Just for your own, just digest this, Doc. I tell you who absolutely won't be on the list, or else it would have been released a year ago and they would not have stopped talking about it. I bet you Donald Trump's not on the list, because if he was, it would have been, that's what they would have belted him with. That's the only thing they haven't belted him with so far, that he was on the island or on the plane. I'll bet you he's not on the list.
And everyone knows Bill Clinton is on it. I mean, he was on it so often that he had frequent flyer miles, apparently.
And what do you reckon? Well, who's going to be? Who are the presidential nominees going to be?
Gavin Newsom.
Is Trump going to go around again?
Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump.
You think that's the go?
That's the go.
Yeah, I think he's right. Yep. I mean, there's a chance they might still go with Biden, but I can't see it. His popularity is, you know, headed, you know, through the floor.
Yeah, I don't think Biden will go around again. I think that someone, including himself, someone comes up with some kind of reason, some kind of excuse why
Michelle Obama
he
was
go
rumoured.
around again.
Michelle Obama was rumoured, someone who could step in, but I think Gavin Newsom, he has that.
She would be one micro fathom up from Kamala Harris, who is...
read out what you said before about Kamala Harris. That was nice. Have we still got that?
Have a
listen to this.
George Papadopoulos, or whatever his name
Lord
is.
Fordham, have a listen to this.
I took this down. She was interviewed by George Papadopoulos.
Mr. Papadopoulos, who has a long history with the Democratic Party, going back.
And she said this, and I wrote this down. This is the person second in charge of this planet. I've been fortunate and blessed during my time as Vice President, have many situations where it becomes clear to me that there are people of every Asian and gender, by the way, see something about being the first that that lets them know they don't need to be limited by other people's limited understanding of who can do what.
And I said, the hell does that mean?
So I said, if anyone worth their salt who was an interviewer would have waited for her to finish that and say, excuse me, Vice President, could you tell us what the fuck are you talking about?
I know. Can you imagine if Trump...
Maybe not say the word. But so could you explain actually what you said then?
Can you imagine if Trump
there's a whole heap of videos on YouTube of her saying
salads.
Nothing. Yeah, where she just puts together these sentences and you get to the end of it and go, I've got absolutely no idea what the hell she's talking about.
So this sounds so sexist that we're having a go at women, but we're not. She's the Vice President, and the man who is the President is even worse. So we're having a go at white old men and stupid, flap-headed whackers.
Dumb and dumber.
Well, and the other thing with Trump too, it's just going to be interesting to watch Trump because, as you know, he's got lots of fans and he's also got lots of enemies. So there's a long road for him to get to Election Day as well. But
that's true.
When you've got that groundswell and when you've got the energy that he's got and when he's able to pick apart his rivals so effectively with the nicknames and the put-downs and whatever, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. But he's going to be a force. But I don't know. It's just,
he's a fighter.
It's going to be a hell of a campaign. By the way, Sam, well done on that chat with Jackson Warren. That was unbelievable. The thing that they've done at the Boxing Day test with all of the heart check devices and machines and everything, and I could tell how sensitively you were conducting yourself during that interview with Jackson because you're obviously still very much a massive mate and a massive fan of his old man and also Jackson. But I really admired the way that you didn't want to get him too emotional or get him kind of talking about two things that were too personal. But you could just tell when he speaks about his dad, and same with Brooke and Summer, when the three children speak about their dad, I'm just filled with admiration for those kids. They're just all class.
Fantastic, Doc. Hey, we really appreciate you taking the time. So all the best to you and the kids
Hey, listen,
and Jody.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you in 2024.
Merry
Good on you,
Christmas.
mate. You're a star. Thanks.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
See you, Ben.
Bye.
See you, mate.
Righto, there we are. So I don't think we need to speak about anything else. So Richard Wollstonecroft, you are here because the first time you came in, the doc got on the line and he said, "Gee, Richard was good. You got here." I thought, shit, I've missed something there. I didn't think he was that fucking good. So back you come, and you've been coming ever since. And Ivan, you've beaten a path down to his door with befriending his kids and Jody and Mick. I'm not sure what you're doing. You're going on his program, are you?
I'm not
You're a contributor, are you?
Not regular yet.
Yeah.
No.
Now, Mick, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you one chance.
One chance.
You said you had something that you were going to read out, and you had to run it by me. What was that?
I
Mick?
think just somebody having a lend to me,
steady.
Sam, but I'm not sure. But no, I think we leave it out, don't you? You want to read it?
Oh, was that a shout out?
It was a shout out.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, well, go on.
It's Hi Mick. Now I get many of these. So do you think Sam could give me a shout out? He might remember me from Street Talk in Dandenong. I mean, how the bloody hell would this stupid Sheila think that
Was a
she's
woman,
gonna-
was it?
Well, her name's Fiona. Well, could be a man.
No,
this
but-
is
be.
so not the one he
Can't
asked
judge
you
these
about.
lists.
Tell him I am Fiona.
Yeah, no, so Fiona...
there could be anything.
Could I remember Fiona from Street Talk in Dandenong? That's not the one I was actually mentioning. You said you're going to have to run a bit of a humorous anecdote by me. And they're going to have to read. So you've backed off that, even
backed off
even
that
a
one.
bit sharp for you, is it, Mick?
I'll leave that for the nightclub.
What?
I'll leave it for the nightclub.
So you've obviously
Doing this.
brought some notes in from Tasmania here. The Ayatollah's
You
packed
told me to
off.
come with topics.
That's right. Well,
Yes.
three of
And
them
I-
you haven't been able to mention because they're too risque. I said bring some topics that
Well, I
we can
mentioned the
generally
other two.
discuss, Mick, you idiot. Start off the one that you were going to read to us, and I'll tell you when we should stop. Go on. No.
The other one.
Yeah,
Not this one.
Not this one.
What one?
This
not,
one.
Not
What's the-
Fiona.
Fiona, she
No,
said-
not that fucking Fiona. But you were going to mention a thing. And I'll stop you, and I think we're getting a bit close to the breeze.
Oh, you better stop me because
Well, hang on.
I got to find them. I can't remember all these.
Well, that's why you've written it down.
I work with idiot sheets, not with idiots.
Go on, quickly. And the merchandise, you cannot be serious.
Serious, it's flying out the door.
Flying out the door, the
Yes,
caps
yes,
and the
flying out
T-shirts.
Selling,
right.
is it? You're not
Righto, now
throwing it out the
we're going to be
suppose-
ready to cut
You
yourself
better
out.
cut me off. I snuck up behind the Ayatollah when I got home the other night. I'd had a few because I always meet her in full confidence, as a man does. And I said, that's a lovely perfume you have on there, doll. She said, that's called...
Come to me.
Goodbye. You walk all over my gags. don't
Well,
you?
you said about the vinegar. Don't say you're going to do the vinegar joke about the salt and the pepper. And as she said, that smells like. She said it's called "Come to Me," and you said.
"Jouis pour moi." That's French for "come to me."
And you said.
And I said, "You better give me another whiff because it doesn't smell like come to me."
Yes, thank you, Nick. Please, you extraordinary man. I thought
You
you were
are.
going to say, and this was true. This was.
This is true. Yes.
This was no. I'm
Fiona. We're back on to
Hang
Fiona.
on,
are we?
haven't told you what was true. Remember, Sir Les Patterson was speaking on Michael Parkinson about
Jackie.
and she said, I was speaking to some celebrities, and I said I got a range of perfume out, and I said, what are you putting behind your ears these days to attract men? And Jackie said, me ankles.
So Fiona wants to be remembered to you. He spoke to me in McRae Street. Do you remember McRae? That would be great if you could give me a shout out. And could you please show him this picture of my pussy?
Yes, I know. It's a Russian blue. It's sitting
Yes.
on a couch.
Very
I know
nice.
that's just
I don't know
the double
whether that-
Here's a quick photo of the pussy.
The
No,
double
it wasn't.
entendre and the
He's seen it.
innuendo hasn't been lost on me, Mick.
hasn't
Now look,
been.
Mick.
But that's what I get
That's
at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, righto. Well,
No wonder I don't get any sleep. I mean, I'm looking pretty shithouse for 64. No.
That is true. Now, Richard.
You're 64.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sam.
Richard, thank you very
Girls
much.
still take
It's a
me
Merry
for,
Christmas. And
girls still take
not,
me for
not happy
50
holidays.
Hey?
The girls still take
Shut
me for
up,
50.
Mick, please.
And if they're any good, I give them another 50.
Mick, shut up. And now, Richard, thank you very much for coming in. We've got our guest who's come in, a very, very important man. You said you knew him.
Well, I am familiar with his work. Yes, he's
that's what I
a
mean.
star of stage and screen.
Well,
you know,
that's right. I know. I don't know Clint Eastwood, but when you say you said you knew Clint Eastwood, I would say yes, I'm familiar with his work. You don't know him, but you're.
I
familiar with
believe we played a film with him at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, but it was probably a while ago now, maybe 15, 20 years ago. It was a martial arts film, and
that would certainly
that
be
would make sense
because he's got 48 black Dan, blue Dan, red Dan, black. I'm going to ask him what.
We'll have to be very polite then, obviously.
Black Dan belts mean from all different countries around the world. So that was Dr. Fordham, MD, Lord Fordham, Michael Christian Menswear.com, Ivan from Ivan Milat, whose name is Paul, Richard Wollstonecroft. Thank you very much. And Sue, you've got to stop talking so much, Dale. We couldn't get a word in. But
Ever listen to all you guys just talking so much shit? I can't believe you even got 2 segments out of this.
and on that note.